Hey, welcome. This is the San Carlos Computer Club. I'm Scott Stimson from International Computer Solutions, and we meet every Tuesday at 10, either in San Carlos or online, to have tech talk discussions. Not TikTok, but tech talk discussions about the latest trends and how they affect us in the world of technology. There's Irving coming in. And he's right here as well. He's right here online. So welcome, everybody. This is a good-looking group of people. Good to see you all.
Good to be here again. We missed a couple of weeks because we were on the road, and I'm not sure if I'm going to check in next week either. So Bill is in the room, but he's making lots of noise, so I will mute us, and we'll keep listening.
Okay. Oh, and Irving, you're going to want to turn down your speakers. And yeah, just so they don't bleed over. And I think your mic. Oh no, it's just speakers. I think it's just speakers. Yeah.
It could be mine because I wanted to.
No, yours is.
It's my 91st birthday today.
Wow!
Happy birthday!
Happy birthday to you!
Happy birthday to you! Happy birthday, dear Chester! Happy birthday to you, Fred!
Thank you very much.
That one's coming from Canada.
At this age, I don't go anywhere.
How
old is Chester now?
Chester is 91, you said, Chester?
91.
Wow.
91.
91.
How dare he be older than
Very impressive.
I hope you're here in Irving. Oh, here we go. Okay. Well, that is wonderful. I didn't know it was Chester's birthday. I feel like I need to make a little note here. Happy birthday, Chester. Yes, I've got a little cake at home I'm going to eat in your honor when I get home for lunch.
You share?
Yeah, I'll eat it in your honor, too.
Thank you. I'm losing weight, you know.
Congratulations. Well, this is the Computer Club, and we normally have a few things that we start out with. I bring a document of topics that we might follow. What is it I wanted to say? Oh, we're going to continue in-person meetings at Tequila's on Tuesdays up until, I believe, I'm looking at my calendar right now, the last meeting will be the 12th of May because I'm flying on the 18th. So I also believe that the 19th is not a meeting I will be attending. You guys can meet amongst yourselves in any form you'd like. But I don't believe I'm going to be in any condition to have a meeting after arriving on the 18th. So I'm just throwing that out there for people to plan appropriately. At the moment, it looks like our after that, our next meeting would be the 26th. Yeah, the 26th. But until then, we will continue to have in-person meetings here at Tequila's, and that means that we're going to have in-person meetings for the next 2 weeks. Next week and the week after.
I'll be gone.
Well, I might be here all by myself. Me and Jim will be doing breakfast.
Where are you going?
Back to New Mexico.
I hope some of you have this document in front of you, but if you don't, I will stick that link in the chat so that it's easily available. These are just some things that I found that were interesting that I bring in case you don't have anything you want to say. But I am much more interested in what you guys have. Just quick, Bill of Digital Rights, keep it in mind. It's becoming more and more relevant. I had something for it and completely lost it. There was a law that just got passed in California recently that it has to do with repair, but I can't remember what it is now. So if it comes back to me, I'll bring it up later. But But as always, we are big enthusiasts of having digital rights, having our digital rights protected through a document that would be used in any preparation of legislation and regulation that might, consumer protections that legislation would want to put forth. And there is an interesting, in that regards, there's something very interesting happening right now, and one of the links that I've brought is a article from the BBC about tracking workers. And I thought this was, I mean, the article is interesting, but I thought the topic is a really interesting thing to think about. I'm going to mute my dad because they're having a conversation over there.
Are they fighting again?
No, not. This whole topic of workers. In fact, I heard a really interesting conversation of tech pundits talking about this issue, because what it comes down to, in a nutshell, is that Meta has announced that they're going to use the tracking data from their employees to train their AIs. Now, this is a real long reach, but I heard people defending, I mean, not that this was a great idea, but how you could get to this point, because we have had tracking software on workers' computers almost from the beginning for productivity and for accountability. They have been tracking workers. If you're in a corporate organization, there is something that is tracking the activities that you do on that computer, and making sure that it meets their social and their safety, their privacy policies within that organization. And what's interesting is that because there are these softwares that have existed for so long, and this thing that the article is about Meta announcing this. And the perplexing thing is, this tracking is to be defended from the business side of things. And at the same time, what concerns me is, if you've accumulated all this data in the past, are you able to just dump that into an AI, move forward in the future? Like they never intended to use it like this, but they've got it. So everything that you've done on your keyboard and mouse to do your job is recorded, and now that data can be dumped into an AI. You see where I'm going with this? Is
The thing I question is capacity. That's such an enormous data. The infrastructure of it.
well, this is these data centers. Like its capacity is only a compute problem. It's a resources problem, but that's the reason that memory's gone up in price. That's the reason CPUs are so hard to find right now. You guys heard that Western Digital had, I mean, we talked about it a few weeks ago. They had sold out all their spinning hard drives the first month of this year, and it's commitments to these data centers that they're putting forward. I see somebody's hands up. Oh, somebody's trying to get in. This is why I should not be. It's Richard. Richard should be here with us.
Yeah, Richard, get your butt down here.
I wonder if he's on the YouTube right now. Hello, Richard. We were just wondering why you're not sitting down here with us.
He's ignoring.
I think he's having microphone problems again, because it looks like he's unmuted, but we're not hearing anything come through it. We might watch him disappear and come back in just a moment. Yeah, so this I find a very, very difficult, perplexing area, because there are a lot of jobs out there right now that may not be done really well by AI, but possibly could be done to such an extent that, I don't know, half that capacity is no longer necessary. Well, and even if they were able to replace them, that's kind of beside the point of my thinking. Did you agree to train your replacement in this fashion?
You don't need to agree.
Right? I mean, you already agreed for them to collect all the data. So it brings these kinds of questions to mind to me. It's just like, where is that? maybe this is the digital rights topic I was thinking of when I brought up the Bill of Digital Rights. It seems like they've done a bait and switch, whether they planned it or not. It seems like they sold it to us as there are computers. It's our time we're paying for. It's our work that you're doing, and so we're allowed to track what you're doing.
It would seem to me that it would be very complicated to take that raw data and put it into something that would replace them. And I'm sure they could write a program to do that.
Well, yeah, and maybe it is a thought exercise. Well, it's a lot. We don't know a lot of the 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 ins and outs of what's involved in that, but what Meta is from this point on saying is that we are going to be recording you so that we can put it in an AI. Meta has one of the most powerful products out there as far as AI. So when they say that, you really don't worry about capacity or compute. I mean, you worry that did I agree to this, and what will this result in me not having a job 6 months from now? It seems like those are the concerns. And then, do you have any recourses? Like in my example, nobody has come out saying we're going to use the data we've been tracking you with to do that. But it seems like a scenario that's not covered by anything. In my opinion, I don't know if anybody else out there.
It is a loss of jobs.
Well, I think in the end it is a loss of jobs, but I wonder if this is something that you have to agree to, or if you've already. I mean, this is the argument that I heard going on earlier this week, was you've already agreed to it.
Yeah, you probably have. It sounds to me you have. For argument's sake, if you publish a book, you go through the proper channels, that book's out there.
Well, I'm thinking more like your boss comes to you and says, I'm gonna hire this intern that can do your job cheaper and faster, train them.
Well, they do that. They don't really discuss it.
Well, this is my point, is if that scenario were to happen, you would have the ability to just say no, and I'm going to go find another job, and you can train them yourself.
Well, that's from a point of view of what you're saying. I think it's okay to do that, because I think it's unreasonable, for argument's sake. Let's say a person has a technical job in an area, and someone comes to him and says, can you show me what you're doing? And you can very well say, well, no. If I show you what I'm doing, you'll be taking my job. And essentially, that's what happens.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's been happening, whether it's happened on the internet or whether it happens word to mouth in 1921. That's why a lot of people don't hear it. People do. Most people withhold information, protect their position.
In that respect, Irving, I've always felt, since I started doing this so many years ago, is that I practice open source consulting. You might have heard me talk about this before, where I feel like I need to be the most prolific, I need to have the most information, and the best way to prove that to people is to give it away freely. And so then when they need information, they come looking to me for help. And
well, Mr. Musk, that's what's happening today, right? Today is the big court case, so they're having the court case of what he intended to do exactly, so he says, of what you exactly what this.
Yeah.
But then they took it from him, he gave it away, and they turned it commercial, and this is a pretty big lawsuit.
Yeah, well, what's interesting is he doesn't have much of they're saying that he won't win this.
That's what they're saying,
but he can make it very painful for Altman, and that's all he wants to do.
But I don't see why he can't win it. The intention was stated clearly. It was news all over the world, and they didn't do it. He donated it it's like having a deed restriction. It's there. Why shouldn't it be able to protect it?
What part of this are you referring to?
I'm referring to the part that he's suing because they turned it into a for-profit thing when his intention was to give it, as exactly you said, give it to humanity,
Well,
help them.
right, but the part that's missing from that analysis is when he decided to pick up all his money and leave, because that was before they turned it into a for-profit. That was them desperately looking out there for a way to keep going, because he had pulled back more than half of what he had committed originally.
Well, wasn't it the technology that was given?
Well, the technology was given to everybody. I mean, like that's already out there.
Yeah, but he spent the money to create it, right?
Well, he and other investors came together and said that that this kind of technology can be used for unethical purposes. We need a foundation that will,
Right.
I mean, what you're saying, right?
Right. Yeah.
And then he had problems with that organization and pulled his money out of it, leaving them desperate. Well, their idea of desperate for funding. And that's how Sam Altman got involved. It's good to remember that Sam Altman's a finance guy. He's not a computer scientist. He is the guy that finds money for people.
So he should be savvy.
At least in the money piece.
Yeah.
Hey, TJ. Welcome.
Good morning.
Hey, now our group here is getting, it's still not as big as the group online. Well, unless we, Irving, you got to get offline, and then we've got more people than they do. Bring them in, buy them coffee. How are you doing this morning?
Except I'm now a Mingo.
A Mingo? Like a Domingo?
Graduated or got promoted?
I graduated. Oh, I'm a Mingo.
A Mingo.
Well, what is it?
Mexican gringo.
Oh, I have not heard that before, but that's funny.
When you're permanente, correct? You're now a Mingo.
Oh,
I had not heard that before.
so you're not a citizen.
No, I'm a Mingo.
I'm a Mingo.
Otherwise, I would be immigrant.
I guess we all are.
I'm trying to hand you a microphone, but I'm realizing it's not turning on correctly. Oh, there. Maybe that works. Testing 1, 2.
Work?
I think so. There you go.
Raise your hand if it worked.
Raise your hand if you guys are paying attention to what we're talking about. All right. This is the first time we're going to have all 4 microphones going.
Less there.
Well, anyway, I just thought that was this is an interesting place to be, where we have been collecting data. And actually this brings up all kinds of issues, I think, because we have a data warehouse that we've been very aware of, at least since the late 2010s, that the government's been using and expanding to collect all communication that happens across the internet and our communication lines. We were first made aware of it in 2006. The general public was first made aware of it. Since then, it's blowing up, and they've just continued to collect information through the Patriot Act. And one of the things that they have made very aggressively clear is that if you don't encrypt, then we only hang on to it for 6 months. But if you decide to have privacy and encrypt, we hang on to it indefinitely, and we use it as an exercise. And for all that to be said, in my personal opinion, I'm sure they don't delete anything. I don't delete anything. So why would they delete anything? All they have to do is add another hard drive. So yeah, I don't have any expectations that anything's actually deleted. And with that in mind, if you've got this repository of data, how long is it going to take before it can be cracked open by these AIs that are essentially cracking encryption? They're finding bugs in systems all over the place now. How long until they're in every conversation and we've got them?
Finding bugs in systems is not the same as cracking encryption, Mr. Stimson, sir.
Okay, that's fine. That's a good point. They are 2 different activities, but the point being that there is troves of information out there, and how does it get used? I just remembered the California right to digital rights issue. They just did something that, did it just leave me again?
We can all relate to that.
Oh my God, I had it. It just went by like a passing car. Oh, jeez. What was it? It's going to come back again. We'll have a callback to it, and I will finally remember what the hell it is. Some what?
Is that what I need?
Inco Belomo. What is that?
It helps.
How about the Japanese or they say helps?
Helps your memory?
There's also some magnesium and nematona. Cloudy. Anyway, when you're ready for some new topics.
Sure.
Is there any workaround to booting from the USB drive?
What you know what would be very helpful is using an AI and giving it your model number of your laptop and asking it how to boot off of a USB of Linux.
Does it matter if you have anything else on the USB?
Not from the boot. The boot up off of the USB is a live disk, and so what you're just doing is telling your computer to use that as where the location of the operating system, not the internal drive. The internal drive should or would be recognized, maybe easily or through a few steps. But what I would recommend is just staying away from it as you get comfortable with what you're looking at. And then after that, you're going to need to, if your goal is to install it on the computer, then you would need to go through a process of creating space for it on. And if you want to do a dual boot, then that's slightly more complicated.
Second topic, what do you think of Brave?
As a web browser, it was really strong when it first came out, but now I don't think it's. I think it's just another web browser that's got the ability. They're selling you services and they're selling information. I don't necessarily. I don't see it. I don't see it as being the big deal that they tried to be when they first were. They had a VPN at first. They were blocking stuff. They're all based on Chromium. Richard, do you have an opinion on Brave? I know we were talking about it recently.
You know, I've pretty much focused on Firefox and Libre. You know, there's a more hardened version of Firefox called Libre Wolf.
I haven't played with that.
So those two, and in the Chromium space, Chromium, not Chrome, and ungoogled Chromium, which again is a little bit more hardened. So I haven't really touched Brave for a long time because I don't like that parts of it are closed source.
Whereas Chromium is not. All these are built on Chromium, and Chromium is the open source project, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, right, but
and so
it's
the
not.
engine is open source, but then all the add-ons could be open or closed depending on who's building them. And you're saying that Brave has their subsite. The thing that makes it Brave is closed source.
Yeah. Brave has a lot of closed source elements, and I'm not, again, I lost interest in it because of that. So I can't tell you specifically what parts of it are closed source, but there's a big closed source component.
To me, I think of it as a Chrome browser that's been skinned with security, and it isn't necessarily that much more secure, but it is not connected to Google like Chrome is. And so in that respect, as far as privacy goes, Chrome is probably one of the worst ones. If you have an issue with privacy, you're spitting all those telemetrics back to Google through the Chrome browser.
Oh, I would say it is the worst one. I don't think you have to qualify that.
Well, there is Microsoft Edge. It could be, but it doesn't get used. So
I agree. Edge is competitive.
from a
in this
policy standpoint.
in this miserable space. Yeah, sure.
And you know, this, I mean, preceding what we're talking about now, going back to the discussion of AI. Yes, we send all these telemetrics back to Windows through and Google through Chrome. I mean, there are all these activities that are. I wonder what data brokers are going to look like in another year, because they've been buying up this information, whereas companies like Google and Microsoft could be just funneling it into AIs to do whatever the next thing is they're going to do. Yeah, that's I see a lot of white collar jobs disappearing. They've already experimented with using AIs to make like CEO, like a whole board of directors that are all AIs. And it turns out there's a lot of those movements that don't necessarily need to be made by a person.
Well, I use, when I look up something technical in regards to boats, electronics, you don't have to go through companies' technical support anymore. Immediate, and they're accurate,
Right.
right down to the part number.
Well, and like the answer, and I feel like this is going to continue to be the answer. The answer I gave you was you can go Google and find it. That's not what I said. I said you should go to an AI, because it'll give you step by step on your particular model how to disengage. You're dealing with encryption. We've talked about this before with the Windows-based laptops and that. What is it, UFEI, that encrypted model that they use, the TPM chip that is required for Windows 11, TPM2, that needs to disengage so that you can run an alternate operating system. And so to do that, you're looking for those instructions. And with a simple question to an AI, there's a very good chance you'll get 90% of the way there.
What happens when that question costs you $1? And I mean $1. Just hypothetically. You're going to ask it?
I think I'll have more.
See, I think the market's going to take care of all this.
I think people will be weighing that dollar against, is this a service call for Scott, or can I don't know. What we do know is the dollar is not going to pay for it, right? Because it's costing way more than $1 a query.
Well, I just think that, the market's going to take care of this in short order. I mean, Microsoft has just completely dumped their Copilot pricing, and it's going to get wildly more expensive. And that's
to complement that thought, they also have just made it possible for everyone to uninstall Copilot. That's another one of the articles I brought today that I think Jim provided it for me. Microsoft has set it up so now that you can get Copilot out of your computer. Who? Yeah, are you an owl? What?
Copilot who?
Copilot.
Who?
I don't know.
You get my point?
Okay.
Who? You mean it's a viable? Copilot is a viable option?
I think TJ's indicating that he has already uninstalled all of this.
Non-existent.
The Copilot that's sitting on your taskbar in your Windows 11, you can, if you're running a home version, you can just go into Windows applications and uninstall that. If you're running a Copilot version of 365, you can uninstall that and install Microsoft 365 without Copilot. This last week, I've been double checking this on my own home installations. I don't have a professional version of Windows 11 to use. And I found Copilot only still existed in Internet Edge, in Microsoft Edge, the internet browser. So I haven't looked for specific instructions. This article goes through some specific instructions. I didn't find specific instructions for Edge, and I suspect that what there will be is a switch to turn it off at some
They
point.
just advertised even today, I think it came up about the subscription possibilities. There is a free version, but they're looking to sell you very cheap. I think the standard is like $19, and then if you go into like an annual, it gives you the Word Perfect Suite or whatever it is.
Yeah, the Office suite. There's a basic
Yeah.
subscription
So
level.
It sounds like a bargain to me. I mean, I remember in the days when I paid $400 for each of those programs, X Pro and Word, and now I mean, 100, less than $200 a year. You have that host suite. More importantly, you have OneDrive.
Excuse me, I can't hear Irving.
Irving, is that microphone on right next to you?
Shouldn't be.
It should be, or
I
Richard
should
can't
be,
hear you.
but I'm not
Yeah.
talking to- no,
Let's just see what
Sorry,
we got
I
going on
turned it
here.
off.
Oh, no, it's this one. Just speak up a bit there, Irving, so that the group can hear you.
Testing 1, 2.
Is that better there, Richard?
I can't tell. I just see the tip of Irving's head, and
Well, that's not the microphone.
I don't have
No.
on my computer. I got that
very poor audio. I know it didn't really make it better.
Okay. You'll just have to speak up, Irving.
Or he can unmute his.
You could unmute your computer.
Yeah, that's what I should be doing.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
I was just telling about the advertisement for Pilot this morning, offering a pretty good subscription for like $19 for a standard, but more importantly, $100 and some odd dollars, which includes a complete WordPerfect suite and something I like a lot, OneDrive. And OneDrive alone, in my opinion, is worth it.
Well, yeah, but that doesn't indicate any.
It's for
Microsoft. It might be Word. I mean, I'm a dinosaur.
Yeah, but what you just said, Irving, doesn't indicate any real interest in AI, because you're focusing on other services. Microsoft can bundle this.
Well, I think in the end, that's what you. Okay, can you turn your microphone off?
Yeah.
What Irving is indicating is how it will be like that, right? I've said this before. It's like 3D on a TV. It's just an option, and that's what they're going to do. Is they're going to throw it in, and if it's something that you're going to use, you're going to pay an extra couple of dollars for it a month. Companies like Google and Microsoft, maybe even Amazon, are able to just eat that cost, whereas companies like OpenAI are falling apart right now, trying to figure out where their next dollar is going to come from because they haven't made any money.
But leaps in technology, AI, OpenAI, huge. Last.
Well,
I shared with you last week.
Oh, you're talking about using it. Well, I mean, yeah, I mean, each one of them has their advantages. Just like this latest one from Anthropic that is finding bugs in software to such a great extent. I honestly don't understand the science, but they showed a bar graph of the previous model that had it down here and it's under 10%, and their new model has it up here above 50%. And what that's supposed to mean is how much more effective it has been at finding genuine bugs that aren't hallucinations and then offering fixes for them. I saw Richard just dumped something into the chat, a link here.
That's Zitron from today.
Oh, okay.
Don't talk about something going up a couple of bucks.
Copy.
When you have a $1 fee for something that costs $8 to $13 to produce, we're not talking about a couple bucks more to reach break even.
Well, you're talking about the
we're talking
economics
about
of the machine behind the illusion, and I'm just talking about the illusion.
I'm talking about what the consumer will need to pay to even get these people to break even.
Right.
And it is many multiples of any subscription charge that you have seen to date. Many multiples. For example, 8 times. So take that $20 subscription and say, what if the $20 subscription was $160 a month? What if the $200 subscription was $1,600 a month? That's break even.
I don't know if we're living in a world where that's the kind of economics that we're looking at. Just to play the devil's advocate on the other side of all this, what if it just doesn't matter? What if venture capital is able to drive this technology to the point where these companies are embedding themselves in governments and organizations? And so that's what's paying this funnel. And the price difference is almost just a token, just showing it's out there. Like I said, like 3D on a TV box. It's just one more check. And they don't actually intend to make any real money off of that tiering, the tiering that we've been taught to expect, the low, middle, and high end of things. Who's to say that that's just for the tiering, just for the psychology of it all? To think that AI is actually worth paying something more for. And in the actuality, the mechanics in the background, on the other side of the facade, have nothing to do with the sale of this service to the consumer, because it's already been sold to these large organizations that are ruling the world. It's just a thought.
I don't understand a business model where revenue produced doesn't cover cost of production.
Well, you've heard about how they charge the United States $1,000 for a hammer. It just seems to me like if they need the money for this technology to work, they can just print it.
Well, everything that starts free winds up costing.
Sure.
So, in other words, they don't go in like a candy store, try to get the streets business. They go in and try to get the global business all at once. And so they give it away. They the kind of investments in that are staggering to us, but they have the vision as places like Microsoft and the guys that gave it away in the well, they got it all.
What is very obvious that's happening right now is that the AI models, for what they are worth, I granted none of this is perfect. All of it is error prone, and much of it will hallucinate. The models have gotten particularly better and better with structured concepts, software development being one of them. And what you hear software developers talking about is we're going on to a new level of abstraction. And the software that we have right now, one of the reasons that an AI was able to find so many bugs in software that's been running for years is because it's being maintained by humans, both the fallacies of their own knowledge, but also the motivations of why a bug might be left unfixed. It becomes an economic issue. and to a process that can identify these things in hours instead of days, that doesn't require an annual salary. That seems it seems like a big shout to all of us that do software development, that we're not going to be doing software development the way we have in the past. And I myself, I've come to this group a number of times with different experiences I've had, and you've watched me go from I have to watch all the code it makes to I just let it run, because it's just 9 times out of 10 it's ready to go. I have asked, I've made requests that have generated entire websites, just almost like snapping your fingers. And it's not because it's better, or I mean, in a lot of ways it is, but that's not really the issue. The issue is that it's got so much compute that it can do that so much faster. It can nail it. Let me say that when it makes a mistake, it does it a whole lot faster than I could, with a lot more structure. like introducing a human in that would only make it worse, not better at some points.
Might want to consider career change, huh?
Well, the career of development is changing. That's my point.
Yeah.
Is that like to do software development, I see in the future will be more understanding how to work with these tools and less about digging in to the actual code. And I think last week we talked about this a little bit, and I used the example of assembler. No, there are very few people out there programming assembler code. It's zeros and ones. It's moving zeros and ones from buffers in the memory locations at that level. Like physically, the idea of moving boxes around is what you're doing in assembler, and nobody does that anymore. I mean, I'm generalizing, of course. There are some very specific reasons those people should be paid a lot for what they do, but the enormity of productivity that's happening from software is happening at higher level languages. I mean, when ones that
plow fields with a simple plow and a plow horse.
Okay, a good analogy maybe to move from like plowing with a horse versus a tractor that's guided by GPS. He's still a farmer out there. It's just doing a completely different kind of job to do his farming, and that's what software development is shaping from last year into this year into next year. This M-dash that Google has just recently released to replace WordPress, which is a big deal, because WordPress could easily be thought of as being about 40% of the internet right now. Just about any place you go on the internet, there's a very good chance it's a WordPress site, and it is notoriously plagued with security problems. And Google has released this, but the thought is that they've released this to not just to take over the space of WordPress, but because it's one of the first of these frameworks that was intended to be built on by AI, to have been created by AI and then picked up by AI as we move along, which is the stumbling block we have right now. Is that software right now built by humans is being picked up by AI, and it's not ready for it. It wasn't intended when it was written. It wasn't intended to easily be transformed by AI. And the idea is that if you built it with AI in mind to manage it, if you let AI continue, you have a more secure and more performative product right from the get-go. And I think that M-dash, which is just recent, its adoption, that's a human thing. We'll have to see how much adoption it has. But if its adoption is good, then we might see a really good example over the next few months or years of what it's like to have AI maintaining a software base. To that end, I just want to share another opinion that I keep hearing from security experts. It is possible. There is a zero bug destination, which is thought possible because of AI. because you're taking the human element out of it. There is this final destination of bug-free code that is possible, but only because of this development through AI, this next level of software development.
But your skills will still be needed. Even if you're not developing.
Wait, I hope so. It's this race to too old to do anything to what am I going to do until then?
How old are you?
I'm 56 in June.
Okay.
56 in June.
80.
Thank you.
How old?
56 in June.
June,
Oh, you're so old.
It's my mom.
June what?
June 7th.
I'm much younger.
So he's still Sammy Hagar
Am I?
and drive 55.
Can't drive 55. You're reminding me that last year we had I Can't Drive 55 party for all my friends there in Alaska that were turning 55 that my good friend of mine, his wife, she's a good friend of mine, of course, but I decorated the whole thing in like rock, Sammy Hagar glam rock stuff, signs all over the party. It was fun. You have to be a Sammy Hagar fan to appreciate it.
You folks know who Sammy Hagar is?
No.
He's second front man for Van Halen.
You've heard of the rock band Van Halen?
Purely.
Yeah.
So.
So
I think of those names, and I think of marijuana and other forms of stimulants.
It's funny because when I think of spandex and yeah, spandex and long hair.
that was between Montrose and Van Halen.
That's good.
Yeah. Let's see.
No.
Yeah. So, do we have any other topics that have been brought to us? I see that our clock is, we've got 12 minutes. We can carry on a bit before moving on to the other meet. Is there any other topics that people would like to bring up, or should I just go into something I've brought? I've got a list of stuff here from last week that we never got to that I thought was still interesting enough to leave here. What do we got? We got meta tracking. We've got AI track. We basically talked about all that. Uninstalling Copilot. We talked about that. How about the French government giving up on Linux? This is just another article of
Giving up on it?
No, I'm sorry. Giving up on Windows, switching to. Thank you for the correction. Yes. Moving to what people are calling a sovereign operating system. And actually, this idea is becoming more and more popular across the globe. The idea that it's in a nation's best interest to be running technology that is originated in that nation. And so that it is a security risk to run an operating system like Windows or another nation's operating system. China has...
Concept of America first concept.
Yeah. Well, this, as far as, yeah. I mean, I happen to absolutely believe this concept's correct. They had no choice before. And Microsoft, through its fumblings of its marketplace, have given them a choice. They have created an incentive not only for world governments, but also for organizations to not rely on Microsoft as the operating system. It was theirs to lose, and now they're scrambling to try and pick it up. And that's why you're able to remove Copilot now. And they've been pushing out fixes left and right for problems that have been reported to them for years now. Hey, Jonathan. I would take a little more. Gracias. Thank you, sir.
It's a latte machine.
I wish I could remember the California thing.
Send us
It's
an
an
email.
after we leave, you'll remember.
Yeah.
Oh, it's right on the tip of my brain. It serves me not. I shouldn't mention things I don't write down.
So
How old are you now?
here's an issue that I have. May have been discussed.
Okay.
I've been dealing with Amazon ever. And they'll be living here in Mexico, or anything for the boat, anything for the house. Just order a lot of stuff. Now, when I order from Amazon, not only do I have to sign in, but they have to send me a code very often. They've got it where I don't.
The two-factor.
What?
The
Yeah.
two-factor authentication.
The two-factor, the sign in and the two-factor. Used to be, I would go to the site, I would press my name, and I'd be able to order right on the spot. I'm now a few steps away from it. Not just the two-factor. Order.
I wonder if did you experience this in transition, like moving from Alaska to Mexico?
No, what I tried to do is I try to do it VPN and non-VPN.
Ah, okay.
So the non-VPN comes up with Spanish, and so that don't work. It never happened. Now, as far as the banks, that they are skittish.
Yeah.
They're very, very difficult. And I don't blame them. They'll probably be offline. So that they've made it like if you want to send a wire now, it's like a 4-step.
Hey, I'm curious. Anybody have a solution for bringing thousands of dollars into Mexico because of their?
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, Capital says that you can wire in for right now.
To this bank here, this Capital Bank, Capital with a K.
Yeah. And they say
Into their
starting.
bank in New York.
Well, I mean, it shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
And, they're also saying that in a month, which was thinking May, you'll be able to bring in United States.
Yeah, you'll be able to use
Oh.
checks again.
That's
Oh.
according to the map.
Okay.
So that would be the. They're going to fix it. What they're doing now in town is got nothing to do with this here. Thing is they're taking businesses and investigators in town, locking up their bank. Well, they do. So it's all part of this. What's going on?
Well,
Trying to stop it. Wondering.
yeah. Well, and that's the reason for the question is like we've got a project we want to get started on next year, and it's like how are we gonna get this money into the country? Because they're so concerned about it all being drug related. They've made it very difficult for genuine investment in the country.
Yeah, a lot of people have struggled with it.
Yeah.
I find
Right.
capital bucks in and during the transition, I found out something that was it's actually better than the United States. Your savings here are guaranteed by the government.
We just had a 9% offer.
Yeah,
That was
well, they've
good.
been doing that.
Cheryl's had her hand up, so I'm going to go to her in a second. But on that, I recently heard about. I didn't realize that there's some financial vehicle that was offered by the bank that was gaining interest, and when the CBanco went out, lost everything except the initial investment. The initial investment had been protected, so she's pretty upset she didn't have all those all the interest earned, but she didn't lose everything.
Why did she lose anything?
I don't understand how those things work, but I kept comparing it to something like Robinhood, where you'd lose everything.
Lots, I not FDIC. I always suspected that there's a risk, and it has happened in the past. But no, the Mexican government not only.
Well, and this is some financial device that I'm unaware of. It was some kind of investment device that was offered through CBanco.
Oh,
That's what we're talking about. And so
tricky, yeah.
she'd become forgotten my adjectives, but she thought she had these gains from that device, and then when Sibanco went under, all she had was her initial investment,
They hadn't.
but hadn't lost everything.
With
They
the-
haven't lost anything, actually,
Yeah.
just their saying.
I guess so. Yeah, I think that's what I'm saying.
Whereas
That sounds
capital
good.
deposits interest every month. So if she had a 6 month,
That's
she didn't
interesting.
gain that. That's why she lost.
Right.
Ah.
So it didn't lose any money. Just
Hey,
lost everything.
yes, Cheryl.
Okay. Moving
I
on
would
to,
suggest boxes and putting it under the seat of your car.
okay.
I was going to say
So-
her underwear.
Stick it in a money belt.
I was going to talk about the California law, and I was going to talk about a recommendation. So I'll combine them all into one, and I won't take more than 4 minutes because that's how many minutes we have left.
Okay.
Okay, so the AI companion chatbot regulation just brought in the AI regulation in California. Companies providing AI companion chatbots must implement protocols to prevent suicide, self-harm, and explicitly remind users they are not talking to a human. So on that note, there is a book that I actually listened to, an audiobook called Culpability, that I want to recommend to all our techie people. Culpability talks about who is responsible when an AI, autonomous vehicle is in an accident. Is it the creators of the AI? Is it the creators of the vehicle? Is it the person that was sitting behind the wheel but not doing anything? Who is responsible? And in it, there is a young girl that has a chatbot companion as her sole friend in the world. So I found it very interesting that California
this is a
making
fiction?
laws.
The
It
book
is a
fiction?
It is a fiction, but it is based on an actual accident that happened and a court case.
Oh wow.
And it's a good read or a good listen. So I highly recommend Culpability.
Yeah, no, it sounds like dealing with real world things. It's a constant issue. Who's at fault? The car manufacturer? Right?
Well, the intent of these structures is that nobody is at fault.
Well, it kind of comes down to that, but it's a shared responsibility.
Oh, I'm not saying that that's correct, Cheryl, but I'm
Yeah.
saying that the intent of these structures is to remove culpability, to remove liability.
And I don't know if that they ever can, because the liability might just be in people developing it and what they go through as a result of making different things. You know, we can go back to nuclear bombs and things like that. Another thing that's coming out in this is this whole AI business. We have a court case going on in Canada.
We got under a minute. I'm starting up the next meeting, so those of you who would like to continue can move over to there. Cheryl, you're about to get disconnected.
Okay. I probably lost that thought anyways.
I like that ring.
Hello?
Bookie.
We got Richard over here.
What's your dog's name?
Dalton.
Dalton.
Remember Roadhouse?
How many things do you remember?
Ego Paloma.
Yeah.
There's a wonderful line in
We got Fred, Cheryl, Rich,
George Clooney is
and the other meeting has ended.
screw photo.
I wonder if I wonder if
We lo-
Mom will make it over here.
Yeah, we lost your parents. I was having a hard time. I switched platforms. I'm going to use my phone and I'm on my iPad now, but
Someone's trying
Got
to
everybody
get in.
connected?
Almost. Oh, here comes Mom. I think that's the last, right? Unless Chester comes to join us. He's not one.
Where's Irving?
Chester left early on the last one.
Oh, okay.
And Bill is still with us, but just listening.
He's here in
Terry's-
spirit. He's haunting
Terry's with
Bill.
us. Name.
He's here, but he's slamming around in his kitchen. So
No, the oven is slamming.
yeah, the oven door keeps slamming.
Where's Irving?
Tell him to make breakfast.
Well, he did, and
Oh, I missed it.
a bit ago, and he also baked his bread outside in the barbecue. He's done 2 days in a row now. He kept his starter alive as we were traveling home. So we got home and was able to make his sourdough bread. So
Congratulations.
Name is George, and we did not have a passport for him, but we hit him on the way over the borders.
Did they take it away from you?
George, well, the one time your Jorge was dehydrated and powderized, and we didn't know about taking him in his powdered
And
form.
white powder across the border.
So with this time he was in a Tupperware container, and if anybody looked at it, they'd say, "What the heck is that?" But anyways, we did bring him home, and we had no inspections of any kind coming out of Mexico into United States or coming out of United States into Canada. So, yeah, starter made it without any question.
Transport marks. Cash.
Right.
Should reach 10.
Yeah. I not a big
Just
fan
so
of
you know,
traveling with a lot
Scott,
of
the
money.
only person we can hear in the room is you. I'm not sure if something's changed or whatever, but if somebody else talks, they're miles away.
What's that? Somebody else? Wait, I'm the only one with a microphone clipped to their lapel. So they are
Can you hear
miles
me?
away.
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Okay.
Everyone in front of a computer sounds pretty good. Actually, if you know, for revenge, I don't have any other speaker over here, so they are all listening to you from miles away.
Where's Mr. Braverman?
Yes.
Did
Good.
you hear that?
What's that?
Oh,
What?
Richard's asking how you doing.
Oh, doing great.
Yeah.
Life is good, Richard. How are you?
I can't hear you, Irving.
Oh,
Be
yeah. I'm not
online.
I'm not on. Couldn't get onto this.
Just move that closer. There we go.
Is this working? 'Cause
Yeah.
I'm not on. Okay. I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great, and I would really love it if you could read the link that I posted in, and when you're done, tell me if you think AI is going to be around in your life.
I don't think Irving can hear you through my
Well, I
computer.
did hear,
Yeah.
but I don't have the link. I'm not online
Okay,
with you guys.
but
If you
what?
could send it to me.
Well, what I've done is I've stuck it under a category called AI Teaches.
Yeah.
It's I did, didn't I? That was my
I
intention.
saw you do it.
I thought I did it. Why don't I see it there? But that last email that I sent out, that document has it in it. Where? Why isn't it right here?
No, I just posted it into the chat thing.
This most recent chat or the last one? Because
This most recent chat.
okay, you posted one in the last chat, and I went ahead and added it. This chat doesn't have anything in it. I think you're referring to the last chat.
Oh, I meant the one from the previous part of this meeting, Scott. I can repost
Yeah,
it.
you're gonna have to, because No, I thought I stuck it here. Oh, I know where I put it. I put it under inshitification section. AI's economics don't make sense.
Okay, but I don't, where would I find it?
You would find it in that document. I sent an email this morning.
Oh, an email. Good.
Yeah, so look for the document that's attached to it. That's our meeting number 28. And there's a section in it called the inshitification section. And there's a few articles here. I've just left them because they're long reads.
Let me see if I can get into the second site now.
Yeah. I think all these articles.
You'll enjoy that article, Irving. It's all economics. Forget about all this computer crap and just look at what these businesses are.
I'm interested in that. That's kind of my forte, and I follow that stuff.
Well, guys, what else do we got? We're at the end of this meeting. I've still got dozens of other topics here that we've not talked about.
Are folks finding AI proliferation of so-called pundits that are quote unquote?
Well, I can only answer that with I watched a report over the last week. I watched some report, and anecdotally, they were talking about how they're watching as kids are not learning, as they're doing these. They're doing these assignments that are just wrote out of AIs or even just right off the internet, and they're just going right through them onto paper or into their document, and they're just not learning them, and that their aptitude for things is being measured as declining.
Same thing when we got the calculator, the ability to do math.
Yeah.
Well, we see that everywhere. Actually, I see my observation, a lessening of competence in almost everything I deal with.
Yeah, you know, when we think about these things, what if we are thinking about them in evolutionary terms? What if we're on the cusp of a moment where, if we are, like, the big threat is Terminator. The big threat is that we allow these technologies to make so many decisions they decide they don't need us. Right? So maybe we're on the cusp.
Yeah, but I'm going where folks are being bamboozled by Fast Buck Freddy's posing as so-called experts, and their only knowledge gleaned in regards to that subject gleaned from AI, which is simply a culmination of everything that's been thought of before.
I was gonna say, I mean, to your point, the point I was getting at is we might be on the cusp of a time where we are merging with the technology. And what you're describing, though may seem underhanded, might be the future job. The future job might be being a steward to an AI that has all the answers and information.
But the problem
Except he's saying that they're phonies.
AI cannot, under its own definition, cannot be innovative.
I agree. They can't.
It's simply
right.
You're saying that people are cheating. There's people going to come up and take advantage of the situation and put themselves up as the experts. Is that what
perfect
you're saying?
example is in the trucking industry. Right now, everyone, the story has been previously driver shortage. Now, finally, that the American Trucking Association finally admitted in November that there is not a driver shortage. Now, all the quote-unquote pundits are now saying, oh, well, the reason why driver turnover is because trucking companies aren't treating drivers well. Okay, but that's the baseline of how you keep drivers anyway. If you're not doing it, then you have no business ways anyway. So it has to go beyond that. And the problem being is is that the so-called experts who are coming into the industry, no background, no experience with trucking industry at all, are now
Mom's
presenting
taking off.
themselves as experts simply because the information came from AI. So they're posers, really what it's coming about to be.
What
And unfortunately, the public is falling. A portion of the public is falling for it.
I think that we're going to go through this transition where, I mean, yeah, I think there's some of that going on where there's people, well, there's a lot of that going on where people are using AIs effectively enough to maintain 1, 2, 3 jobs at the same time. I mean, when you're talking about like on Instagram, you have these people that want to show you how to make this kind of income with doing very little work. That's the kind of stuff they're doing, is they're using the AIs. And the question becomes, as we progress, is that is the job. That it's no longer the job you think it was. He's not posing, he's doing the job. Maybe it's unfair how much he's charging for it, because now anybody could be that guy. But as we move forward, just like with the software development, the developer guy, he's no longer working down at the metal with code. He's up here as a puppet guy. We're using this AI to build the code. And what you're describing sounds like our reality before we move into this other reality.
Well, it's very similar to back in the 80s. Remember the infomercials, how to buy real estate with no money down?
Well, every time there's a recession, that
Right?
raises its ugly head.
Okay. And now, before it was, it must be on the internet. It must be true. Now, he sounds like an expert. He must be true because he has a flashy following with his YouTube channel.
Yeah. Don't get me wrong, I wasn't selling any of those services. But what I'm saying is that we're watching as it changes what can be offered, and the demand for. I think you're going to see experts, so-called experts, end up dequalifying themselves because normal people will have access to the same. You know what it reminds me of, TJ? It reminds me of, like, when I used to have an office up here on the hill, and we had a satellite dish for internet, one of the few high-speed internet connections in town. And people would come in and ask me, they'd pay me to Google things for them. Because back in the day, Google was complicated enough. If you wanted to get a good result, you used formulatic, right? You'd have parens and adding different things and subtracting, and you'd build a query that would result in a bigger. And that lasted for 3 to 6 months. And then we hit this plateau where, well, everybody can do it now. I mean, don't get me wrong, I wasn't selling this, sir. I was always surprised people would come and go, I'm trying to find. It's like, well, okay, I can help you. But it also reminds me back in the day when I first got here, and I would help people write email messages. And it's a black screen with green writing on it, and they're having to sign in every day and make this dial-up connection. Well, eventually, everybody was able to do that, so that there's no job there. And so I think what you're describing may feel like a faux career, and what we're actually watching is the building blocks of what the new career is looking like.
You both have good points. I know exactly what you're saying,
I'll see you.
and I think you're saying something slightly different. And I will add one thing to it.
Okay, Irving.
Those that can do.
See you, Christine.
Listening? Those that can do, I'm sure you heard this.
Yeah.
Those that can't teach, and those that can't teach each other stuff. That's the cycle we're talking about.
All right. I'm glad my parents, being teachers, I'm glad they have left already.
Don't worry. They've heard it. They don't like it, but they've heard it all their lives. My wife will tell you. But there's,
Irving, back in the day when I used to do work for Anderson.
I was a poker player, and a number of these writers, great writers, good business people, wrote these poker books, and they made good money. But almost none of them could actually beat the regular middle limit players. but they're great teachers, and.
Yeah.
And with the real estate thing, I was doing financing for these people that she's talking about, and they would come and they would have spent $10,000 for the no money down thing, which could work if you get you're really cheating someone because no money down. You have to get someone to give you the right to sell their property without the cost to them,
Right.
with no guarantees. And while it's done occasionally successfully, when you find someone unsophisticated enough to let them do that to you, you can make money. But that $10,000, most of the time, I would say 90% is out the garbage.
Hmm.
Just wasted their money and their future investment. It's just like you said. He said they don't have the background, they don't have the knowledge.
That's what Freddie's.
Yeah.
Well, I definitely think that there's that stuff going on. I mean, you definitely see that. I mean, the example of how to run 3 careers and only work 4 hours a week.
Yeah.
That is all being, we went through a period of time there where people were publishing books, AI generated books. You could generate it in minutes and then upload it to a marketplace where humans aren't even checking to see if it's a real book, and give it titles that would cause people to inadvertently click on them. And why would you feel bad about it anyway? Anybody that's that casual with their spending, they deserve getting scammed.
When I wrote my 2 books back in
Over 50% of Deezer's music uploads now are AI generated.
a year ago, and both of those projects, he took.
Did you make any money with that?
No.
Yeah, because I've had a lot of friends that published, but I have never met one that can make any money
I
at it.
made minimal, but it was not meant to.
Yeah.
To generate it.
You guys didn't get to hear Richard's point because it's just coming out of my speakers, but
Sure.
but he was bringing up a point that's become very obvious recently, is that over 50% of music uploads, like to Spotify to make money, are AI generated now.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just
Wow.
AI trash out there hoping to get these micropayments.
Wow.
And that itself is a piece of this that's going to fall apart at some point. Because why would advertisers be paying the issue is people are listening to it.
Well, the beautiful irony of it is, Scott, that bots are listening to it.
The bots are listening to it. So there's a bunch of fake Spotify accounts out there pushing the numbers up so advertisers can pay the creators. Fake listeners are listening to fake creators.
Irrespective of technology, fraud and cheating and greed has always been here. And it's going to take a big evolution to get away from it.
Yeah. Well, at the same time, I think one of the biggest problems is this is being leveraged, and I think Richard's always coming back to the financial aspect of this is going to fall apart, and it will. It's a bubble financially. I don't see it doing anything but collapsing, but the technology is going to remain. We're gonna see the technology going forward. And I did it again. I had a point that just evaded me. So you guys can leave. We're calling it a day. My brain is tapioca.
I'm going to mention something. I'm still watching it very closely. You were a proponent 2 years ago of cryptocurrency. I felt it was worthless. I'm being proved wrong, as I often am in my life.
Well, it helps that we have an administration that's making the American dollar so questionable that people would be looking in other forms of keeping value. I think he's accelerated. Now, has he done it on purpose or by accident?
I think he's a visionary. That's my approach.
Really?
I know you're
He's not Democratic leading.
This guy?
No, not at
Oh,
all.
he's a communist? Am I understating the obvious?
No.
What?
Marx.
A Marxist.
All right, well, it's all right. You know one thing, I
It was
don't know.
AOC.
Someone
AOC
knows. Without the
AOC
guy.
straight out is Marxist.
Mhm.
She is a Marxist.
All right. Our meeting is deteriorating, and I am saying goodbye. We will see you guys next Tuesday for another one of the San Carlos Computer Club's finest meetings here at Tequila's. Come and get breakfast and talk tech with us. Bring your topics and all
I
that.
can get more meetings next year.
Have a great week.
All right, Fred, you have a good one. Irving, hopefully we get to see you next week. If not, get online with us. You know I'm going to be in Alaska.
Yeah. What's it? A 5-hour drive from you?
Yeah, it's something like that. Yeah.
Well, it's a great place to visit. You know that.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I've done Homer a number of times in my life. Yeah.
You like to
I
fish?
appreciate the offer.
You like to fish?
Well, can I stop recording? Because I'm an Alaskan and
Oh.
I